Hello, today we visit r/AskReddit to see what screams insecurity but most people don't realize. Make sure to comment if I missed anything or if you possess any of these traits. With that, sit back and enjoy. When they can give you shit all day but can't take it back whatsoever. Man, I have an employee like this. He ribs people and talks shit all day long. The instant someone fires a shot back, it's the end of the world. 48-year-old crybaby. And let me guess, he complains that everyone is so sensitive nowadays and that no one can take a joke? Well, this is just a guarantee. I worked with a guy like this at my previous job. He would poke jokes at everyone, and we were, from what I thought, pretty good buddies. Well, one day I mentioned my panic disorder for some reason, and he proceeded to insult me in his joking manner about how I was making it up, and mental disorders aren't as big a deal as people make it out to be. So, being the smartass I am, I fired my own insulting jokes towards him. Needless to say, after that night, he found a way to turn the entire department against me, to the point I eventually had to quit. At Thanksgiving, my cousins and I ranked our aunts and uncles on a dish it but can't take it scale. One of our aunts heard us talking about it and got excited to join the conversation because she's a ball buster. When we told her she was number 2 out of 10, she got so pissed and stormed off. We moved her to number 1 after that. Ridiculing other people's achievements. Yeah, but is it even a big deal to be queen of the grapes? What even is that? It definitely is a big deal. I don't know why, but I read this as, I identify as a big deal, and I'm gonna go ahead and start using this to hype myself up going forward. Also, same vibe. Ridiculing other people's suffering, usually by trying to top it or dismiss it. Can we just listen to people when they're having a hard time? I've had worse. Yeah, what a terrible person. One of my besties would say this all the time. I told her right away when I was SA and she said, I had worse, so I never told anyone until a year ago. She's the worst. This is when I should have stopped being her friend, but I didn't. Never apologizing. Some people will twist the story, change the way it happened and retell it so convincingly that they'll believe their own nonsense but will never apologize. I struggle with this into my early 30s. Not from a place of narcissism or gaslighting, I hope, but something that came out during therapy. My dad would frequently say, sorry isn't good enough to me whenever I did something bad or wrong. It really punched me in the face when I realized that him instilling into me that apologizing wasn't good enough really made it hard for me to do that as an adult. Therapy is wild, man. Edit. I'll clarify because I'm seeing it a lot in the comments. This would be a good sentiment actions speak louder than words, except he never taught me that. He ended the conversation with, sorry isn't good enough, instead of telling me why it wasn't good enough. There was no lesson to be learned at my young age, because he wasn't teaching one. He also absolutely hated any kind of defense, excuse, whether or not I was in the right. It was always, obey me out of love or obey me out of fear, your choice. I told my dad I'd put myself in a timeout, after I got mad and broke something in front of my toddler. My reasoning being that you have to practice what you preach, right? His response, never tell your kid that you are wrong. It made me realize his, I'm right you're wrong, required obedience, was why I'd always folded before authority, hate getting into serious conversations where I have to defend myself, always would back down from an employer and not stand up for myself. When I was older he'd say, you have to stick up for yourself. But Dad, what did you condition me towards for my entire childhood? Not to dig too hard on my dad, because we're all often good and shitty at the same time. In terms of leadership, it's when someone can't, or won't take input from the rest of their team and tries to act like they have all the answers. I was this type of insecure leader once, and I thought that if I used the idea of someone with less experience then everyone would think I was a weak leader. But after I was removed from that position I had to work for a lot of managers who did a lot of the same stupid shit that I was doing but magnified due to years of insecurity, habit, karma. I have since learned that if I hear people out, discuss a course of action, go with other people's ideas, and especially give them credit, you gain exponentially more influence and respect. That even people who have little experience should have their input considered. I feel horrible for the people who had to work with me, but now I don't just act like a more capable leader, I am a more capable leader. When you achieve something or improve your life in any way, and their first instinct is to tease or make fun of you, it actually screams instant jealousy. I went back to school and a judgmental friend said, "Wow, how old will you be when you're done?" I said, "Probably the same age I'd be if I never went back." This is an awesome reply, love it. I graduated in 2021 with my first degree in electronics engineering. I was 52 years old. My mom said this when I told her and said it in a mocking tone. "Oh, now that you got a degree, don't you think you're too old to use it to get a job or use it for anything?" You never expect your own mother to be a jealous competitive jerk, but mine is because she is a narcissist. Always having something negative to say when something good happens to someone else. For example, "Oh, you're going to hate that new job," or, "They should have done X instead." Just be happy that someone else is happy. Insulting your friend in front of others to be cool. Back in my single days, a lot of guys who came up to me in bars and clubs and such would insult their friend to me, as if that would make me interested in the insulter. Non merci. It was 4D chess to make you interested in the insultee. Sometimes, the insults came after I asked, "Who's your friend?" "Oh, that handsome idiot over there? Don't worry about him, he thinks he's better than everyone else just because he's the CEO of a big company, don't worry about it. He's such a douche, man, the other day he saw this girl drowning in a lake and he went and saved her. Without her permission, like a perv." Putting other people down and bragging. Never trust a friend who speaks ill of his comrades. One of my coworkers trashes everyone we work with, and finally one day I asked him what he called me when he was discussing me with others. Exactly. I have a neighbor like this. Has something to say about every other neighbor. One day when she was particularly annoying I said, "I wonder what you tell them about me." She avoided me after that. Taking a situation that was never about you or had you involved in it and somehow making it all about yourself and playing victim, even though you had meddle in it, and make yourself the victim. My wife's boss fired someone recently and has been going on for 3 days about how hard it was to do that. She even called my wife at home to profess her broken emotional state over it. "Girl, you weren't the one who got fired before Christmas, and you coulda waited the 2 weeks if it's so much on your conscience." I had a friend who would get insecure when my wife and I wanted to leave his house before he wanted to go to bed. Like, dude, it's 11 p.m. on a Wednesday and we live an hour away. Just because occasionally we're willing to stay till 1 doesn't mean we can today. He would blame my wife for us leaving, and eventually he built up enough unspoken resentment to burn the whole friendship down. Constantly talking shit on other people for an inflated sense of self-worth. Used to have a friend that was really fixated on badmouthing a specific girl. With time I realized that everything my friend hated about this other girl were things she actually did as well, so she was just insecure about her own flaws and projecting. That friendship didn't last long. My boss does this. Every week it's someone new that he decides he doesn't like, and then he seems to go on a recruiting tour to get people to agree with him. We were recently having lunch with a coworker my boss really admires. After some shit talking from my boss, the coworker says, "Now I'm worried about what you say when I'm not around." I could almost see the "oh shit" light bulb go off in boss's head. It was glorious. When they found a point that makes them look better than the other person and continue to overstay on that point. Edit. The situation is subjective, and I'm talking about the situation whereby the person punches down on someone to make themselves feel good. I did not mean for a person who requires positive affirmations. Sounds a lot like the one-upper. Those people are annoying, but it definitely screams insecurity. I realized a while back that some people thought I was a one-upper. When someone would tell a story, I'd often tell a similar story in response. I always thought it was we had a similar experience, something in common. But some people took it as me trying to outdo their story with my own. I'm always a bit self-conscious about that now. I suffered from a similar problem. I found that listening to their story and asking questions about their experience before delving into my similar experience helps. Like, once the convo starts to dangle and I've run out of questions to ask, that's usually when I'll relay my story. Seems to be working better, and I don't mind if we never get to my story either, because I don't really feel the need to talk about myself. I just use it as a way to keep the conversation flowing. Jealousy over little things. Ain't nobody ever gotten jealous over my wee-wee. I'm jealous of your wee-wee because you have one and I want it. Hand it over, bucko. The incessant need to compare. My avatar is more colorful than yours. Explaining how smart you are. One with your intellect just cannot comprehend the astute difference of my mental superiority. You used that word, comprehend, wrong. I'd explain it to you, but you wouldn't get it. I didn't think this was a real thing till we had a guy we met at a board game club over for dinner and a game, and he literally spent the night talking about how much smarter he is than everyone around him. We didn't have him back and since then found out he's deep into replacement theory and white genocide, BS. Selling NFTs of yourself. Brokemon cards, if you will. Buying Twitter and banning everyone who questions you. Pretty sure this is a money laundering scam. After all, when he gets an influx of $2 billion from Russia, he can't just get a cashier's check. So, we'll all make fun of it, then it'll sell a lot better than makes sense to anyone, and most people will walk away saying, stupid rural Americans giving this man all their money, when it's really foreign powers messing with our election through obvious money laundering schemes. Being loud and domineering in every conversation. Currently dealing with a coworker like this. He doesn't seem to have an inside voice. Don't understand how people can get to adulthood and not realize that they do that. And they blurt out the shit you don't want everyone hearing too. Alrighty, time for the lightning round. Here we go. I'm an alpha male. Those handshakes that are firm to the point you wonder if they're actually trying to hurt you. Obsessing over hierarchies, or who is ahead, and who is behind, in life. Posting pictures of yourself with tons of filters on. When people one-up you. When people two-up you. Being a bully. Mocking other people's physical features or personal character traits. We get it, you're projecting. And now the main reason you are probably here, which was surprisingly the top comment of this thread. Looking through these comments to see if there's anything you do listed here. Man, you don't have to do me like this. I feel attacked. With that, thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if I missed anything or if you possess any of these traits. Click the video above if you want to continue to watch my content. Until next time.